Good evening, listeners. It's time to settle in for another chilling story of suburban suspense. From the slumbering heads of Mount Rushmore to the twin and windy cities, from the unseen depths of the Great Lakes to the rustling husks of cornfields across the heartland, who knows what ghouls and crawling creatures lurk among us under the Midwest moon. Every rooftop and coffee shop is suspect here on Fear Falls Radio Theater.
Months ago, half asleep in a tedious budget meeting at work, Matt made up his mind to finally start a band. He had just spent his recent bonus on a shiny lacquered drum set in tangerine burst orange, and he knew Chris, his best friend since childhood, would be on board immediately. Finding rehearsal space proved easy as well. The friends decided on Matt's garage, which was ideal, bordered by a stretch of woods on one side and unintrusive neighbors on the other. The men called themselves the Ghost Notes, named for the quiet hits played between beats in drumming, notes so soft they almost weren't there. In honor of their band name, Matt hung a string of lights shaped like ghosts from the ceiling of the garage, and the white spirits spun and swayed in the breeze while they played. Matt had always regretted not starting a band with Chris when they were still in school. Both had gotten into music early, learning instruments as elementary students and even taking lessons together, but their paths split in middle school. As Chris leaned into music, growing more talented and invested, Matt pulled back. His childhood imaginary friend, a shy ghost named Sully, accompanied Matt uncomfortably long into adolescence. And when Matt was finally able to shake the childish companion, he moved on to drawing Sully, creating comics that followed the ghost on fictional adventures. Throughout high school, Chris had begged Matt to start a two-man group with him, a duo to play music at house parties and school dances, but Matt had bowed out, instead illustrating ghost stories in the bleachers while Chris played in the pet band. But all of that was forgotten anytime they set up their instruments in Matt's garage. Two men every bit as giddy as their teenage selves. The summer had been a busy one, full of writing original songs, and when they'd created enough to make an album, the two dreamed up a video trailer for their music. They envisioned a rough, documentary-style glimpse of the process, all the sweat and speaker feedback, the numb fingers and grins of celebration at nailing tricky bits. Come October, Matt and Chris spent an entire weekend filming their rehearsal. Leaves whipped like red and gold confetti into the open garage as they played, Matt on drums and Chris on guitar and vocals. The chilled air made everything feel more alive, more vital, and revived even the most lifeless songs from their repertoire. Afterward, the two celebrated, feeling punch-drunk and accomplished. When Chris finally headed home, Matt moved to his computer to upload the weekend's footage. He couldn't wait to start editing the video, his mind already bounding ahead to how he would cut it all together. But moments into the recording, in the first strains of their second song, Matt saw something strange in the background of the video. The headlights of his parked car blinking on and off. A strange Morse code series of blips. Neither man had noticed the lights that afternoon, both fully absorbed in the music. But now, fear closed like heavy metallic cymbals around Matt's chest, and he reached for his phone to call Chris. But just then, Matt heard a rhythmic noise from the dark hallway behind him, like a steady, soft clap. He paused the video and wheeled around, straining to listen. It carried on. An ominous tap, tap, tap. The sound was so soft, Matt couldn't be sure he'd heard anything at all. Had he blown his ears out playing too loudly that weekend? Cautiously, Matt rose from his desk and followed the sound to the end of the darkened hallway, where he shuddered to see a thin line of light shining beneath the door to the garage. He steadied himself, struggling to control his breathing, and pushed the door open. The light of a single lamp shone from the ground beside his drum kit, casting shadows from below like a footlight on an empty stage. The garage door was rolled shut, its dark windows small glimpses of the moonless night outside. Overhead, the string of ghost lights swayed inexplicably, dancing in the still room. Matt searched among the thick tangle of mic and amp cords that snaked across the floor, looking for a muffled metronome or some stray animal whose pattering feet could explain the noise. He found neither. The tap, tap, tapping continued at the same muted volume, the same steady pace. He dropped to his hands and knees in the dim light to search beneath storage shelves and peer under his car, but he saw nothing. Half a breath later, as his search brought his face within inches of the drum set, he knew the sound. It was the snare, ghost notes played by unseen hands. The impossible notes struck the drumhead perfectly in sync with Matt's pulse, quiet strikes between each heartbeat, the two quickening in unison, faster and faster, until both stopped dead at the appearance of Sully, spectral and smiling, from Matt's seat behind the drum kit.